What's up guys, Jay back here with another video, and we are finally back in the STI. I know it's been a super long time since we actually sat in the car and did something with it. I haven't really been driving it as much, maybe once or twice a week, nothing crazy, but the weather's just been really terrible, and I try really hard not to drive the car whenever the weather's not great, but the weather has been a little bit drier and it's getting consistently better, so I figured now is a great time to hop back in the car and wrap up some of the things that we did not do when I installed the iDoing head unit. A lot of you guys have been asking me for part 2 of the iDoing install, which was mounting the microphone for the Bluetooth and then also running the reverse camera so we can see when we back up. Now, it's not something that I absolutely need, the backup camera, but it's something that I'd like to have. And we may as well take the biggest screen that I think I've ever seen in an STI and put it to good use. I mean, just look at this thing. It'd be a shame to just let that go to waste. So we're gonna go ahead and crack everything out. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the head unit back out, pull the cluster apart, get the side plate off so I can start snaking this cable up through. Then we'll work on getting the A-pillar trim off, or at least pulled back enough that I can get the cable run in behind it, and we'll get this thing mounted up. Then we'll move to the side of the car so we can start fishing the like, I think it's a 15 or 20 foot extension cable to get from the radio all the way back to the trunk so we can get our reverse camera mounted. Before we get things started here with the install though, I do want to thank you guys for subscribing and watching the content, liking things, sharing, commenting. It shows me that you guys really care about seeing part 2 of this, obviously, but also seeing the progress of the build and stuff like that. So definitely appreciate you guys asking those questions or just chiming in. Appreciate all the follows on Instagram. We're up over 800 at the time of this video, which is awesome. I love to see it. Actually got a little bit of incentive, and I'm going to give you guys a little sneak here, a little bit of inside information. We are actually going to be doing a giveaway. I have a lot of subscribers who like Ford content. I have a lot of subscribers who like the Subaru STI Forester content. I'm going to be doing a dual giveaway. I'm going to be giving one of my subscribers / followers a little Subaru care package, and then I'm going to be giving one to a Ford subscriber or enthusiast. So we're going to be doing a dual giveaway. That's going to be coming up soon. I would say within the next month or so we're going to have that put together. But as soon as I have the full list of the items, I will absolutely be letting you guys know. So keep an eye on that. If you haven't already, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. Keep yourself tuned into what we're doing here because that stuff is going to be coming up soon and you don't want to miss out on a chance to win some of these goodies. Definitely going to require some crowd participation if you want to win those. So stay tuned for the details on that. All right, let's tear this thing up. All right, so first we're gonna be popping out the head unit, which isn't held in place with anything other than clips. We're just gonna pop out some plugs here. So I mounted the ground cable, I don't know if you can see it, to the side here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a Phillips screwdriver so we can take that out. All right, and then we're gonna sit this off to the side here. Now, iDoing was gracious enough to give us a lot of extra connectors and things like that. Not all of them we're going to be using, but most of them we will. And we're gonna add one, I believe, when I do the backup camera. I think that the one that I need for the microphone is already on here. And I'll show you what we're gonna be using to connect those two things, the microphone and the backup camera. All right, so this is the bag. If you remember from the first video, we didn't use a whole lot out of it, but now we're gonna be throwing a bunch of stuff on there. This harness right here has all of the connections that we're gonna need for our backup camera. So you've got your camera in, which is gonna be plugging into the video cable on the camera side, which I'll show you here in a little bit. Then there is a cable labeled reverse, and that's going to tie into the reverse power so that whenever I put the car into reverse and the reverse lights come on, it triggers the video input on the radio to show the feed coming from the camera. Here's the mic. It looks like a standard 3.5mm jack. It's got a nice big clip on it. That's for clipping either to the headliner or the visor. We'll figure out which one we want to do whenever I get it run over there. So as it turns out, I actually had already connected the microphone cable to the back of the radio just to kind of have it hanging out there. So there it is. It's labeled mic. Pretty simple. So let's go ahead and start routing that. I don't think it's going to be terribly difficult. I do think they gave us enough cable to route it the way that I want to, so we'll be going through the inside all the way across the gauge cluster and then up the A pillar and probably land somewhere in this general vicinity. I think maybe over here if it'll reach, so it's kind of in the middle, and we can maybe set it somewhere around here, that way it's kind of unsuspecting. All right guys, so I apologize, my fully charged battery just decided to shut off, so I don't think I got anything of me pulling out anything on the dash. So I've got the radio out, I've got the cluster hood off, I've got my side panel off over here. I am getting ready to take the cluster out so that I can see behind it to route the microphone cable through, and that's kind of where we are with everything right now. So let's just go ahead and get the cluster kind of pulled back here, and you guys can see here, there are a couple of holes where I'm kind of just snaking it through so I can pull it through to here, and I'll show you guys in a second when I get that out. There we go. Okay, so we've got this fed back up so we can plug it into the radio when need be. Now we've got to get the microphone side, and we're gonna have plenty enough to get it over here. So now we have full access to our B pillar, or our A pillar rather, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this up through. You can feel it kind of suck up behind that lip. I don't know if I've mentioned it or not, but I love this Joby Gorilla Pod that I got. This thing will mount pretty much anywhere. I'm going to use the supplied 3M double-sided foam pad that they gave me. I'm going to take it out of its clip. I'm going to put the double-sided 3M foam on this flat pad, and then I'm going to mount it right here to the side of my mirror cable cover, and then that way I can kind of angle it down. It's not touching the windshield, so when it gets hot it shouldn't unglue itself, and it's kind of unsuspecting right there, and I can kind of just adjust it to point wherever I want it to. I'll show you where I got this mounted. Hopefully you guys can see that, but we've got our 3M double-sided adhesive. We've got our mount there, and you can move it and kind of swivel it any way you want, but I've got it kind of pointed down toward me. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all tidied up, and we'll plug in the connector and we can get started on the backup camera. So we've got the cable routed through. I've got everything nice and tidied up. So what we're gonna do is take this blue color-coded cable, plug in the 3.5 mil, and it's nice and secure. And so now whenever we go to put everything back together, we can just plug that blue connector back into the iDoing head unit and it's all ready to go. That will power the mic and everything. And that'll be really nice for the hands-free stuff, because going down the road trying to talk on the phone and shift gears is not any fun. So now that we've got all that done, I'm gonna go ahead and get to the passenger side and start pulling up the trim so we can route the backup camera cable from the front of the car to the back, and then we'll tidy it up by zip tying it off to the factory cable whenever everything's all done, and we're ready to put things back together, and we made sure and tested that it works. All right guys, so hopefully you're not getting too much of the wind noise, but I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling up this side molding here. And there is a channel underneath here, and you'll see it when you get it up, but that's where all the factory cabling runs. So we're going to follow that channel all the way to the back, and that way I've got something to tie off to whenever I get this all settled and everything works. All right, so I'm also going to take out the glove box really quick. We'll just drop it out. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab the box for the reverse camera. We'll go ahead and get everything routed through, and I'll get it laid out the length of the car and just make sure we have enough before I start doing anything crazy. All right, so here's what they give you for cable. And this is the audio cable, but it also carries power to the radio and the signal that will let the head unit know that the backup camera should turn on. So I think the best way probably to do this is to route it from here up. And so it's pretty open underneath here. You can kind of see everything. And I'm just gonna take it behind all the bracing. And then we'll route it up through. Be able to kind of fish that up through, and so now we've got that kind of pulled up, and I'll give myself enough there. That way I can pull the radio out from time to time if I need to. Alright guys, so I apologize for the wind noise and the road noise, but here is the channel that we're going to be taking with this. We're going to route it down inside this white channel that runs down the side. We'll come in here under the B pillar. We'll come back. We'll pull up that trim and run it underneath there, and then up to the C pillar trim. And then we're going to have to come up into the hatch by way of this grommet here, and then down and across. And guys, I don't think that I'm gonna have enough cable to be able to make this happen, because where I want it to end up is right here on this side of the license plate. So I may have to bring it down the driver's side to shorten up that run a little bit, but I'm going to try to make it work with the passenger side. Hopefully I can make something work here. As you can see, all you have to do is kind of pull this white channel up out of the it's got some pressure tabs, and you can run your cable in. You can see I've got mine run inside there, so that you know it's not going to get stepped on or crushed or anything like that. So this runs all the way back to the hatch, so you can just kind of follow that all the way back. We'll run it underneath the B pillar, and then I'll meet you guys in the trunk. there is a side curtain airbag, and there are, it looks like, a couple more clips. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop those out, take out the screw in the airbag, and it should allow this to fall down. So you need to be careful with them because they are brittle, but be careful because you're working with a side curtain airbag as well. So just be mindful of that. All right, so we got this out and down. My God, the paint looks amazing underneath this. I wish the whole car looked like this. God. All right, so by the time I get this routed how I want to route it, which is along the factory cabling right up here, the grommet I want to use is right over top of that. This is gonna be stupid close. Like, this is going to be extremely, extremely close, but I think there might be enough on the camera end of this cabling to get it where it needs to go. A little bit tired. I think we got it. There we go. All right. Now we can put it up through. We're gonna stick it in these little keepers for now, just to kind of hold it in place. I do think that we're gonna have enough if I come down and follow the factory loom like that and come across. By the time we get over here, the camera should have enough harness on it to be able to get us where we need to go. I think it's a hit. Sweet. And then I've got about this much on the harness for the camera, so I think we're gonna be good. It does look like I'm gonna have to take off this trim piece across the back because we're gonna mount our camera right there. And I've got to be able to get through that, and I've got to be able to get through the hatch metal to be able to mount this thing because I've got to route the cables through somehow. All right, so this trim piece that we're gonna have to take off on the hatch is gonna be an 8mm. That's one light out. Light number 2. So once you get out your taillights, you're gonna see those 2 plastic screws. We'll get those out, and then we should be able to get this trim piece off, and then we can see what we're working with from there. All right guys, so new development. There's actually a grommet smack in the middle that I think is gonna give us the ability to run through without having to drill any holes into the car. I'll show you what that looks like from the outside here. So it is this mount, and I believe that is for the trigger for the electronic latch. And I think if I push through, I should be able to feed everything through there that I need to have it all come out the back. And then if there's any open space, we can silicone it, but it's gonna be up underneath, so there's not gonna be any water unless it's splashing up on it. So I think what I'm gonna do, since everything passes through here really well, is I'm going to make a cut into the side of the grommet, just a small cut to allow it to sit on either side of the cable that I've got going through, and go around it and seat properly. And then that way I don't have to drill a hole into the car. I can just drill one into this plastic trim piece to pass the cables through, and then I'll self-tap everything and we should be good to go. All right guys, what's up? I am back and I've got things. I got a new set of drill bits, which I've needed anyway, and I got some screws for the reverse camera mounting plate, a zip ties, and I've got some silicone for the grommet for when I split that and run our cable through it. So it's not super pretty. I did have the 1/2 inch bit a little bit too hard on one of the corners and nicked it, but we got everything through. So I just stepped it up from an 1/8 inch to a 1/2 inch. I've got some self-tapping screws that I'm getting ready to cinch up once I kind of get it level where I want it, and then we'll run it into the car, get that siliconed up, and I'll probably call it a night on this one. I'll get everything watertight because I think it's supposed to rain tonight, and then I'll get it all put back together so I can lock the car, and then we'll finish up the wiring in the morning. Welcome to day 2 of the install on the backup camera. We narrowly escaped some showers last night, which is good. So I'm actually checking right now for leaks, and it doesn't look like it leaked in or anything like that. But we're square there. I'm gonna start getting these cables connected up. That way we can go up front and make all our connections up there, and then hopefully we can get this tested out. I can cinch everything down with some zip ties. We can have this backup camera working here in the next few minutes. I don't know if you can tell, but I went ahead and silicone that. Got it stuck back together, but you can see where I've got that cable run through. Just nice and clean. No big deal, didn't have to drill any huge holes around here. Just ran everything up through. Done. So now that we've got that out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and just bolt that back up, get everything put back together, and then we can come and start making our connections. All right, so I'm gonna run this up and behind. And we're gonna come out over here, close to the reverse light. All right, so we can do this a couple different ways, but I think probably the easiest way is kind of the conventional way, which is taking our power and the supplied cable and the power lead that goes to the radio, and we're gonna T-tap our reverse wire on the car in the hatch here, and then we're going to T-tap the ground as well, and that will give us power to the camera when the car is in reverse. Now you can run a separate cable to the radio that will basically give the camera full power all the time, so you can actually toggle the camera on and off while you're driving. I don't really care to do that so much, so I'm gonna leave it as is, and I can always add it in if I need to with a separate T-tap. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these wires stripped back a little bit. We'll tap these things, and then we'll start buttoning up our cabling, and we can go up front and test it. So we got these stripped. This is the lead for the power that comes from the camera. This one is already stripped that goes with the AV, but I don't think it's enough. So I'm gonna strip it just a little bit more. I'll grab some shrink wrap and stick it over top of this connector, so that when we're done with this, we can secure the T-tap connector. The yellow and the red are gonna be our power, and obviously black is going to be our ground here for these purposes. Same thing on the reverse cam, or the reverse light. We're going to be tapping the yellow and brown for power, and then the ground is going to be black. And I know this because I've tapped, and I will show you actually. I know this because I've tapped the reverse already for the dual reverse lights that I put in whenever I did my tailless turn signal. So I know that I've got that tapped all ready for that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get these twisted together. And I'm gonna get a T-tap end on these so that we can go ahead and tap this bad boy and get some power on these things. I just bought these T-taps off of Amazon. Same thing with the shrink wrap. I'll throw some links in there, that way you guys can buy these if you want. This is definitely by far and large the easiest way to do this. Alright, so now we are ready to throw the tap end on our power side. We are tapped, and so I will show you what it looks like when all is said and done. Alright guys, so this is what our cable ends are going to look like once you have the T-tap quick connectors on there. There's your ground. This is power and also AV power that's going to tap into your reverse lights, and then we will plug in here with the power and also with the AV line. Alright guys, so we are back in the car again. iDoing made this super easy, even for idiots like myself. Here is where the AV cable terminates. We have the same power lead on the interior side as we do on the camera side. So we've got that. We've also got our harness that has the AV in. That's where we'll hook that up. And then it also has a nice little crimp connection for the power lead. They make this pretty easy for us. As soon as we test the camera and it tests out good, I'm gonna come back, we'll finalize everything, hit all of our heat shrink, and then get everything zip tied up, all of our trim pieces back in, and then we'll do a full rundown and a full test of the backup camera in the car with the iDoing Android head unit. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of give ourselves a little bit more to work with here. So I've got to get the ground back on before we do anything. When you're doing this, you want to be up on the radio, but the seats are so deep, you just kind of get sucked back. And I think I mentioned that in the last video. Wait. I don't want to, yeah. All right, so let's go back to the back and make our connections back there, and then we will test this bad boy out and see if it works. Alright guys, so you can see we've got our cables coming over here. Got all the excess zip tied and shrink wrapped together. We've got our connections here. And then we are zip tied to the factory harness. I left these a little long so you can kind of see my touch points. I use the factory harness keeper there, and then we're coming down inside our panel here, and so I will show you where it comes out on the other end. We are, and I don't know if you can see in there, but right about where that metal bracket is, we're coming down on the inside of this metal bracket, down this trim panel, and then in underneath where this white channel is, and I've got plenty of slack in the line, and that is exactly what I wanted to end up with. All right, so everything is back together. As you can see, we're all tidied back up here, aside from my tools. And a bonus, if ever there were an issue, all we gotta do is pop that down, and you've got easy access to the quick connects and everything that you would need, as well as the reverse lights. There it is, guys, all installed up. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure I'm sold on it. What's up, dude? But I think the base is a little chunky. Hopefully I'm not clipping because I'm talking into the mic with the car pointed right at me. I don't know. I may put some black vinyl on there just to see if it kind of conceals it a little bit more. But yeah, that's how it turned out. All right, guys, moment of truth. Here we go. Windshield wipers work. All right, we're going to go home. Make sure the volume's down before stuff starts playing. When I put it in reverse, see what happens. Ah, just thought about it. Ah, there she goes. Yes! That's what I'm talking about. That is so sick, guys. And that camera actually isn't bad at all. Look at it. Dude, this is sick. So now we have a backup camera on a 2011 Subaru STI hatchback. Did not come with it from the factory. We've done it. Look at all that trash back there. That's super high def. This screen looks freaking amazing. Now I will say, ever since I got the Cartboy short shifter installed, I've noticed that my reverse lights are a little sensitive, and I think that might have something to do with why this camera isn't coming on super reliably. It's trying to, but I noticed I have to get my reverse lights in the right spot before they'll actually come on. There we go. So now you can see we're on. We're rolling. So let's pull up a little bit. We'll really test it out here. Just a little parking lot test. See if it even comes on. So I'm gonna have to figure out why my reverse light or my reverse switch isn't coming on unless I'm holding it in the right spot. There it is. Oh, that is beautiful. Now this doesn't have guidelines, so I don't know if I can turn those on or what. Maybe it's somewhere in the settings, but worked just fine. I mean, at least I can see what's behind me. Now the real test of this will be backing up at night just to see if my, now it's going pretty quick. You just gotta be forceful with it, I guess, and it'll make that connection. We'll see if the diode dynamics backup lights light up behind this car enough for the camera to pick it up at night. We'll see how good the nighttime performance is on the camera tonight. I'll come out here and we'll run the same test, but man, I think that's pretty sick. All right guys, so here is the night shot that I promised. And that looks pretty awesome. So you can see the diode dynamics backup lights are doing their job, and man, that camera looks that looks amazing even at night. So this is going to be awesome for the guys who have tint and they have a hard time backing up. Now you've got a clear view out the back of at least what's right behind the car, and you can see it kind of fogging up with the exhaust there, but still, that's pretty impressive. So guys, that's gonna do it for this one. If you found value in this content, please hit that like button. If you're gonna do this to your car, or you've already done this to your car, let me know in the comments what you think of it. If you're on the fence about it and you've already got the Android head unit, you're already halfway there. There's no reason why you shouldn't do it. And after you see the colors on this screen and how nice and big that backup camera is, you're crazy if you don't do it. It's not a whole lot of work. If you're not filming and talking to the audience, it's probably gonna be a lot quicker of an install than what I ran into. But I definitely think you guys can get it done on the weekend, and it's well worth the time spent. So if you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bells, and definitely share this with someone who might be interested in this content. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one, when we can talk a little bit more about that big giveaway I was talking about at the beginning of the video. But as always guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.